Adam Silver needs to win a press conference, so it cost Ryan Smith $500,000.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. When you're looking for tickets, use Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. It is an Ask LOJ edition. We will jump into some questions about basketball, the Jazz moving forward, Jaren Jackson's impact this year, what we saw in the 3 games with Jaren before the impending knee surgery. We start with the $500,000 fine against the Utah Jazz. All right, I have lots of thoughts on this. Let me see if I can start. I don't know that I'll be as fired up and mad as everybody wants me to be because I'm in my happy place, which is the van if you're watching on YouTube, so I'm happy. But let's walk through this for a second. I honestly believe that the reason the fine came out yesterday and the Indiana Pacers and the Utah Jazz were fine because ESPN, and we'll discuss why, talked so much crap that Bobby Marks made asinine comments. Brian Windhorst continued the conversation with the most egregious, which is laughable. And national pundits had nothing to talk about this week because the Super Bowl's over. And so the focus turns to the NBA, and it turned to tanking because somebody benefits from the spotlight being put on the Utah Jazz and making it more difficult for the Utah Jazz to not keep their draft pick. Somebody out there benefits from that. And I would guess that they may have gotten into the ear of people and made an effort to create the firestorm that was created. And once that firestorm was created and the spotlight erroneously was put on the Utah Jazz, not that the Utah Jazz did not do this, but that it has been rampant in this league for 20 years, and there are 7 or 8 other teams doing it in ways that I would argue are more egregious, if we're going to use that word. And we have plenty of things that question the integrity, if we want to use that word, more so. So, why now? Well, why now is because somebody benefits from the Utah Jazz being put in the spotlight. There's got to be. Like, it's not Brian Windhorst. It's not Bobby Marks. It's not ESPN. Someone benefits from it. And considering their track record, that's incredible. So why does Adam Silver do this now? Because he's about to sit in front of the media and have a press conference that's the State of the Union of the NBA in Los Angeles, and one of the questions that's going to be asked is about tanking. And if he doesn't have an answer, he looks a fool. If he goes up and says, well, we're looking into it and we're not aware of it, like, well, it's obvious. It's obvious. It's a problem. It's obvious. We have bigger problems, but it's a problem. Let's not deny it. It's an issue. It's the reality, but it's an issue. And he goes up in his press conference and says, well, we're looking into it. We haven't really come. Like, he looks ridiculous. But if he says, well, we just handed down this fine and look at me, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, then he can win the press conference. He now has his answer for the press conference. And it cost Ryan Smith $500,000. All right. It's preposterous. Again, let me say this. I said this yesterday on the show. I love the league. We have problems. We're not perfect. The other leagues have problems too, but I know this league. Okay. We have two major problems in my mind. Our system incentivizes haves and have-nots, tries and try-nots. That is a problem. The system incentivizes it that if that 20 teams are trying to make the play-in and 10 teams aren't. Like, that's literally what the system incentivizes. And that's a problem. It's incentivized it for a long time. And teams have gotten better at it. As I've said numerous times, I'm the only one saying this, the raising of the salary floor so that every team has higher level players has made it more abundantly clear that it's taking place. Okay? The second problem we have is our players don't play enough games. That's a different issue. That's the primary issue the league should look into. I don't know the answer to either of them. Finding the Jazz. Let's ignore the Jazz. Finding a team for how they determine they use their players is a crazy road to go down. So had Will Hardy decide to play Lauri Markkanen for 3 minutes to start the first quarter instead of his regular rotation of 6, and 3 minutes in the middle of the quarters instead of his regular rotation of 6, and for the final 3 minutes of the game, would have that been okay? Probably. He played 9 minutes in the quarter. It would have been the exact same thing. But that would have been fine, I bet. If we had done the same thing with Jaren Jackson Jr., who played 9 minutes in the quarter, would that have been okay? So the Jazz just got fined, or a team just got fined. I don't want to make it personal. It's just, if you take the personal aspect out of it, it tells you how lunatic. We're pissed because we're Jazz fans and we're feeling picked on, and we are being picked on because somebody created this firestorm because they benefit from it. It's the only logic. It's the only logic. Because this happens all the time. And we were pretty out there last year doing it. So, we may have asked for a little bit. I'm not ignoring that. Not pretending that doesn't exist. But just the road we just went down with inappropriately using players, the Jazz won. I think I could make an argument that if Jaren Jackson had played that fourth quarter, he's not a particularly efficient player. Offensively, he's going to steal those possessions from Bryce Sensabaugh. He would not have probably scored the way Bryce Sensabaugh did. The other thing I will strongly stand on right now, if I am the Utah Jazz right now, I would never play any of my marquee players. My goals of the season at this point are to get Keonte, Jaren, and Lauri to the end of the season healthy. Well, Jaren, that just didn't happen. Or we're doing it as well as we can considering what we found in the MRI. So I would never play them in a back-to-back. I would never play them 3 games out of 4. I would never play them more than 3 days in a week. I also, not sure I learn a lot right now from Keonte George closing a game. I'm not sure I learned a lot from Lauri Markkanen closing game. But having Kyle Filipowski try to deal with Bam Adebayo lets me have an idea of whether Kyle Filipowski is good enough to play 15 minutes on a good team next year. Because right now, we're one of the top 6 teams in the Western Conference, probably. Maybe 7. And I need to know whether Kyle Filipowski is good enough to play in those minutes. I need to know whether Isaiah Collier is good enough to play in those minutes. I need to know if Cody Williams is good enough to play against those minutes. It doesn't do me any good to roll those guys out there against backups right now. So the idea that we're going to fine a team because they didn't use their roster the way we like them to is really absurd. But it's a reaction to the firestorm that someone caused and to the fact you have to win a press conference because it's illogical. These are all just very common sense things that happen in business all the time. I deal with this with Locked On all the time. If something illogical is taking place, there have to be other pressure points that are causing the illogical reaction or the illogical decision or the illogical action. That's how it works. When somebody does something that is not have a logic that lays out over time, there has to be a reason. And the reason is that someone created a firestorm and Adam Silver didn't want to look like a buffoon in a press conference. That's why. And that's costing Ryan Smith $500,000. And that's crap. I am not saying that having Milwaukee sit Giannis for an extra period of time and not playing guys regular minutes is not problematic to the league. I'm not saying that the fact that it's beneficial for the Jazz to play Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Keonte 20 minutes instead of 35 for fans isn't problematic for the league. Do we need some sort of reform? Maybe. We also need a way for teams that are in a developmental stage to get better. And this might be the reality of what you have to do. Because free agency is kind of dead. Trades are hard, though that seems to be the answer now. Washington and Utah showing a brand new model that you actually just keep your cap space and you trade for players that other teams have to get rid of. Or decide they're going to. But how does Memphis get better now? You suddenly get rid of the draft and lottery and what does Memphis do? What does Sacramento do? Oh, by the way, Sacramento didn't play their 7 best players against us the other night. Do you really think they were all hurt? Washington played Brooklyn the other night. They didn't play anybody. So stop. Again, I will say it one more time. Illogical action is forced by comes from outside forces that forces someone into illogical action. And in this case, it was a calculated blitz of a firestorm that created a need for a reaction at a press conference this week, so Adam Silver didn't look bad. That's this person's logic. That logic feels fairly consistent to me. Your thoughts in the YouTube section or on X. We'll get to your questions next on Ask LOJ. Friday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also in Logan and in Linden. I got a great deal for you right now from Murdoch. By the way, if you purchase a new or used car, let them know that I sent you. You get one free maintenance plan purchase for a year of maintenance. So that's about a $200 value for you if you buy or a new or used car. So if you're in the market for a car right now and you're considering getting a car, let's get you over to Murdoch, get you the VIP treatment that you deserve by being a Locked On everydayer. Check out the Palisade, Calligraphy Palisade. It's amazing. Just drove the Santa Fe Hybrid. Loved it. The Elantra and the Sonata are both fabulous. And then the Tucson has the SUV lineup made out to perfection. And I'm hearing that the Tucson is really ripping right now, and people are jumping all over the Tucson. So those are the deals out there over at Murdoch Hyundai. Make sure you jump aboard. Email me first at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that I can get you the VIP treatment you deserve at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. FanDuel. Right now, get into the winter games and enjoy all the fun by locking into the events on the biggest stage that happen every 4 years. That's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes so much sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you can care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The drama of curling matches, speed skating, hockey games, niche events you might want to follow, a little border cross. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaged from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We want to make you a Locked On everydayer. We got the Everydayer All Access Club. You get direct text messages from me. You got my thoughts right away on the fine and why it took place and what happened. Sent that out to you right away. You get my immediate reaction on the Jaren Jackson trade. You get one-on-one texting with me if you have questions on things. About once or twice a day, I try to go through them and answer questions to anyone who sent things to us. So that's all one-on-one interaction with me. Gives you the all access, like the really true fan. Plus, you get a daily newsletter, which has about an 80% open rate right now. We've got the Leaf Tulane bonus coverage for you of all the draft coverage. Leaf will do the show Monday through Thursday this next week while I take All-Star break, the regular show. All for you, plus you get ad-free, plus you get access to the great Discord channel, which is the best jazz community. We're building it every day. And you get access to Locked On Sports Today ad-free. That's all for $15 a month. Use the promo code JJJ to get part of the All Access Club at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. $5 a month gets you the Locked On Jazz Everydayer Club, which is the Locked On Jazz ad-free, Discord, and Locked On Sports Day. Okay, so I answered the first question of the day is, would you please address that? Let me just quickly run through. Can you address why the NBA fined the Jazz for not playing Lauri, but the Wizards fined D? I think I did that quickly. It's because someone created a firestorm around the Jazz. Adam Silver and the NBA are taking action against the Jazz when other teams are blatantly tanking. Seems they are not enforcing the rule uniformly. Is there a risk the Jazz could go after the league with a class action suit? Also, a bunch of people want to know if Ryan Smith could sue Adam Silver. Ryan Smith would be suing the league he's a part of, and I don't think the Jazz fans can do a class action lawsuit. What is the procedure to remove an NBA commissioner? How much of this do you think this outroar is about gambling? So I think it would be ignorant to think that gambling is not a part of this conversation. As I finish the FanDuel read, I'm not lost on that. But I also, again, this gets crazy. If gambling's a part of it, then is Will Hardy obligated to play Lauri Markkanen 36 minutes a night, regardless of how he's performing? Seriously, the big question I have is so Lauri played, I think, 9 minutes that third quarter. If Lauri had played 3 stints of 3 and then came back in the game while we were down 8 or 9 in the fourth quarter, would this be a non-issue? Right? That's to me where this really falls apart. Is that, okay, the Jazz sat Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Nurkic also in the fourth quarter. I got it. But Lauri played 9 minutes and Jaren Jackson played 10 minutes in the third quarter. If they had just spaced those out throughout the entire fourth quarter, would have that been better? Will Hardy didn't call a timeout. So we now have it obligated that coaches have to call a timeout at certain times? I'm not pretending that I don't understand what's really going on. I just want to know how we're implementing this penalty in a manner that matters. Let's get to the really important questions. Realistically, how many games can the Jazz afford to win in order to maintain their draft pick? It's a real issue. This is why this is all going on. Dallas, who seemingly is not going to have any problems about tanking, even though they're now going to be doing it for their third straight year, are now, I think, tied with us in the win, or right with us. We only have one more win than Dallas. Dallas lost 9 straight. So, no, it's perilous. We need to stay in 6 for the well-being of keeping the draft pick and not having it go to Oklahoma City. Memphis is 2 games behind us. They've lost 4 in a row. And John Morant, interesting. All right, let's switch to basketball. What was the first thing you saw in Jaren Jackson Jr.'s impact? Oh, I like that. I actually thought the overall defensive pickup, both when I think he was on the floor and off the floor, was interesting. Like that, okay, we're serious now. The other one that Will Hardy commented on is that Jaren's defensive communication is amazing, which is great. The third one I would mention is that Jaren, it was just a reminder of what great defensive players do. That Jaren Jackson Jr., when he is on the floor, moves so much. And is able to stop multiple actions. It's really incredible. I haven't looked entirely at just the 3 games of on-off numbers on Jaren Jackson and whether or not we actually were that much better. I'm not actually sure we were, because we had some, and it's hard to look because there were some fourth quarters in there that we weren't, right? So I do think it's a little question. I don't know that I have the exact answer for this. And then last night plays into this also now with some of the stats. But if you just look at the last 4 games and look at what our defensive rating with Jaren Jackson on is and Jaren Jackson off is, I don't think it actually shows necessarily that we were that much better defensively when he was off the floor. But it felt that way, if that makes sense. Our defensive rating in the last 4 games when Jaren Jackson was on the floor was a 90.4. When Kevin Love was on the floor, it was an 88.1. Jackson played a bunch of those minutes with Kevin Love, and suddenly he was able to make that decent defensively. There's no one player that I can look at. The defensive rating with Filipowski on the floor is still a 120, and Kyle just shouldn't have to play center. So that would be the number one impact I had, was just how much I thought it picked up everybody else. Never mind. I just moved things. What were you surprised about seeing about Jaren Jackson as a member of the Jazz? I think you mean this question as regards to, like, what about Jaren? So this may sound silly because I've watched Jaren Jackson play, 7 or 8 games in person. I'm not sure I realized when we played them, and you just watch the game, how the level of dexterity that he has, both right-handed and left-handed, around the basket. That was really eye-opening to me. Like the little jump hooks with both hands. And I knew he was a dominant left-hand driver. Like, he wants to go left every time. If he gets going left, that's where he's great. And you're going to run late-game plays to him, get the ball off a pick, come into his left hand, pin downs to the left hand, everything's going to be trying to get him to his left hand late game. But the little jump hook on the right hand out of the blocks, pretty impressive. So I knew him to be so dominantly left-handed because that's every scouting report we ever got. I didn't realize how much versatility and aspect he had to his game. What are the logistics like when a player gets traded to Utah? Like, how do you help them get from the city to Salt Lake, and how do they begin to settle into their new lifestyle here? Do agents coordinate? So there is somebody on the Jazz staff who this becomes their job, their player relations. I think in this case, Ryan Smith sent his plane. It looked to me like, though, actually, I was talking to John Contra. He didn't know if it was Ryan's plane. So it looked to me like it might have been Ryan's plane, but Ryan's plane, at least that I actually have been fortunate enough to be on, because Ryan was classy enough to fly us back from Vegas to go to Frank Layden's funeral in one of the more class acts I've ever been a part of, is you can tell it's like uniquely, it's got Jazz notes in the cup holders. I'll just tell you, it's so freaking cool. So I would have thought that maybe they noticed that, but maybe not. So anyway, you send the plane, and then I think, talking to John, they'll probably live in a hotel. John and Vince will probably live in a hotel for the rest of the year. Jaren's probably looking for housing. Jaren's going to be here, and know he's going to be here for a while. And so the Jazz, I think, have someone on staff who does that. They probably have a designated real estate agent who also does that. These things are very much taken care of. Jaren has been, according to everyone I've talked to around Jaren and around the Jazz, has been wowed by the Jazz, has been wowed by the way the Jazz do things, the organization, the practice facility, the practice structure, the pregame warm-up structure. All those kind of things have been big pluses for Jaren, and he's very excited. And he's very insistent, actually, from talking to some of the coaches yesterday, that during this knee surgery that he's still involved, watching film, engaged, doing his regular workout times, even though he can't be working out, where he does film with the coaches and working this whole time. So really, we're seeing the amazing leadership that we've heard. I've been able to talk to people around Jaren, and the words I'm getting back are stunningly positive. It's really cool to hear that. All right, we'll continue some questions about the youngsters. Somebody caught a miss by me. It's a good catch. So we'll have that for you as well coming up here on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Game Time. Whatever the event might be, whether it's an NBA game, a concert, whatever it is, the action of being inside the building is just unequaled. And you can do it with Game Time. Game Time is the official ticketing app of Locked On and gets you into the building with all the excitement. Whether you want to go see Brandy, I want to go see Head and the Heart. That's my favorite band, and they're coming this next week, in a week. So that's like, there you go. One of my favorite bands, probably one of my 2 favorite bands. They opened before Brandy Carlisle. So anyway, there's nothing like being there. I'll be on Game Time, finding my tickets for that one. So love seeing the all-in upfront pricing. No surprise checkouts of the fee. Game Time app, you just open it up. It's easy. You get the view from the seat. Make decisions easy. Zone deals stand out. Choose the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options, too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices and concert tickets at solid prices. I went to a concert this year where I just kind of waited outside the venue and then waited to the last minute and got that done. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets or any event tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co. That's gametime.co. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. If you're looking to hire right now, Indeed is here to help you with that, and Indeed's got the sponsored job for you. This is a great deal right now for you if you're looking to hire. Right out of the chute, let me give it to you. There are Indeed sponsored jobs and a $75 job credit for you right now to help you get premium status. Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. So Indeed sponsored jobs put you in the right position to get the match you're looking for: skills, certification, location. You want someone who has got real experience who can jump in right now. Saves you time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches, and this is what Indeed does. You get specific and target, they get you the answered. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who actually fit. So in the next minute, 27 hires will happen on Indeed. You can be a part of that. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates with check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored job. As I mentioned, $75 to you for sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. All right, firing through some rapid fire questions for you. I just did that one. Looking at the potential starting lineup for next season, what position is best for Ace jump eye test and does better to 3-4 versus 2? He's going to start at the 2. Will Hardy said it the other night. We're going to have to work on his ball handling. He's going to have to be a much better ball handling. The lineup is very short ball handling right now. And so, teams are going to trap Keonte, get out of his hands, see if guys can make plays. And that is going to be something that we have to look into. But I think, the starting lineup is going to be Walker, Lauri, Jaren, Ace, Keonte. I can't imagine it being anything else. And then how you work around it and how early you make substitutions. We've been pulling Jaren very quickly, maybe due to the knee issue. And Cody's been coming in, and who that is next year will be interesting. Things got kind of blown up in the trade. You didn't do the 10-game review of our young 7, now 5 young players. Quick ranking of them now. Which do you see playing next year when we plan on being a playoff team? I think this is the biggest story of the next 2 months. That the world for Cody Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, Kyle Filipowski, and Isaiah Collier just changed dramatically. The level by which they have to perform now is so much higher than it was before because the expectation for this season. So someone like Cody, who's been developing really, really nicely, does not, at this level, will not play next year. I would be surprised. The level he's played the last few nights is not a player who can play in the NBA on a team trying to be top 6 in the West. I'll just say that. He's going to have to develop a great deal in the offseason. Isaiah is really different and unique and brings something to the game. Can your regular backup point guard in the NBA not take threes? He did not take a 3 in 36 minutes last night. I do not know if Kyle Filipowski can play defensively in backup minutes in the NBA, certainly not as a 5, as a 4. I do not know that yet. He's a strong rebounder. His shot's been on fire. He's done a ton of things great. But the problem that gets when you start trying to be a playoff team and you're playing games that matter and you're playing big-time games, your weaknesses get zeroed on and exploited, and it makes it harder. Bryce Sensabaugh, is he a good enough shooter? Is he an efficient enough offensive player to be an off-the-bench guy? His defense has improved. He has gotten better in year 3. And Kyle and Isaiah will get better in year 3. And Cody will get better in year 3. But it's a great point. I think that's the biggest thing. Can you talk about the growth of Cody Williams? Yeah, he's so much better. He's driving to the basket. He's playing with force. He's understanding the reads, making the right opportunities. He's not dependent on a corner 3 that he doesn't shoot well. He's playing with some bounce. His defense is really very good. He impacts the game defensively. It's very, very good. Shooting is not great still. That's got to improve. Based on the end-of-season roster cap situation, what positions need reinforced and any viable names to do so? I do not have the viable names to do so. I think a lot of this will be salary movement and tax movement and things of that nature. But I would say, I think we need some more ball handling. Because, like, even Bryce is a below-average ball handler for a shooting guard. Cody's a below-average ball handler for a wing. Like, we really do not have ball handlers. Kyle's an above-average ball handler for a 4. No, in my mind right now, like, there's starting 5, and it is wide open on who the next 4 or 5 rotation players come. And if it's up to Nurk whether he wants to come back or not. If Nurk comes, when Nurk's like your best ball handler, it's a real sign. So I think it's going to be a fascinating offseason. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see how deep the Jazz go in. Right? Do you move Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski and Bryce Sensabaugh and Cody Williams to go get players that are established? Because you're in, all the way in, and you're not interested in development. Or that you look at the development prospects of Kyle Filipowski, Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Cody Williams, and you evaluate, well, I only think their development is X, and I can go get X right now as a free agent for 2-3 years, and then I don't have to worry about whether they develop to that. There's a real logic to that. No, I think the world has changed dramatically here for how the Jazz roster plays out the rest of the year and next year. It's what happens when you start winning. That is Locked on Jazz. Have a wonderful week. I will be back with you Friday from Memphis. Thanks to Leaf Tulane for carrying it Monday through Thursday. Please sign up for the Everydayer Club and make the Discord channel unbelievable, the best jazz community out there. That's at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Love to have you be part of the All Access program. That's $15 a month. Promo code JJJ gets you a month off. All year annual gets you 2 months off. Love to have you be a part of that program as well. Have a wonderful break. I'm going to go hit the slopes. Then I'm going to go back. Then I'm going to go hit the slopes. And then I'm going to be ready for a rocking second half of a season. And we'll see what things. I will just say this. Adam Silver's going to tell you how serious he is about covering tanking now that he's shown this so he can win his press conference. See ya. It has been Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Have a wonderful day. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked on NBA, and we send you check out Locked on NBA Game Night plus the Big 3 and 30.